If you test APIs and you are only hitting the send and checking for status 200, you're missing most of what Postman can actually do for you. Today, we are walking through 10 essential Postman features that every QA engineer should know. Postman is not just an API client, it is a test automation tool, a debugging tool, a documentation tool, collaboration tool, and it's a lightweight CI helper that plugs into your pipeline. By the end of this video, you should be comfortable using Postman the way a QA engineer uses it. For all the demos, we're going to use FakeStore API. It's a free public API at fakestoreapi.com that simulates a real-world e-commerce backend. It has products, carts, and an auth endpoint that returns a JWT token. Open Postman and follow along. The first feature is collections. This is where everything starts. A collection is just a folder of organized requests instead of keeping random standalone tests floating around. You can group related endpoints together under one roof. Collections matter for 4 reasons. Organization, so you can find things. Execution orders, requests run in sequence. Version control, you can export a collection as JSON and commit to a repository. And collaboration, you can share your collection link with your team or import one from a teammate in seconds. Folders inside a collection are how you simulate user journeys. You might have a folder called Happy Path Checkout and another folder called Error Scenarios, Payment Failure. Each folder holds the request for the scenario in order. You can think of a collection as your test suite. Now let me show you how. I'm going to build a collection that we're going to be using for the rest of this video. On the left, find collections, click on that, click the button that says create collection. Up here, we're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it FakeStore API. Now I'm going to add some folders. I'm going to click the 3 dots, choose add folder. The first folder we'll call auth, create another folder. This one will be products and make one more folder. This is carts. You should see your collection here with an auth, products, and carts folder. These are mapping exactly to our resources inside of the FakeStore API. Now we need to add some requests. Inside of auth, I'll click this plus button, add request. We'll call this request login. You need to provide the URL. The method here is going to be post. This one's going to require a body, but I'll do that later. And make sure you save this. In products, we have get all products, add a new product, get a single product, update a product, and delete a product. Under products, click the plus sign. This is going to be get method. We'll call this get all products. Paste in the URL. It looks like the post uses the same endpoint, but using a post method. So go to products, new request. We'll call this create new product. Change the method to post. Add our URL. Getting a single product is just going to be /products / and the ID. Let's create a new request. We'll call this get single product. Method is get. Paste in our URL here. At the end, put /:ID. Next, we have update product. Go to products, new request. We're going to call this update product. The method is going to be put, paste in the URL. Once again, at the end, /:ID. Last one here is for deleting a product. Name is going to be delete product. Method is going to be delete URL /ID. Let's do the same for carts. Carts has get all carts, add a new cart, get a single cart, update a cart, and delete a cart. We're going to call this get all carts. The method is going to be get, and the URL is going to be /carts. I'll fast forward this a bit, but the pattern is going to be the same. We'll add a request for each one of these below. And once you're done, your collection should look like this. You have folders for each of the resources. You have requests inside of those folders that associate with each one of those resources. Next thing that we're going to talk about is environments, and this one is critical. Here's the problem that environments solve. You have a dev environment, a QA environment, and a prod environment. Every one of these has a different base URL. Without environments, every time you switch, you are going to have to manually edit the URLs. This is slow, error-prone, and dangerous because one mistake and you are hitting production during a test run. With environments, you replace the hard-coded URL with the variable base URL. Then you create 3 environments and you define a base URL for each one. Let's set this up. On the left, click environments, click on create environment, and we'll have to give it a name. I'll call the first one production. The variable name will be base URL, and the value will be the URL that you want it to use. It's going to be fakestoreapi.com. Now let's go back to our login request and let's remove the URL from here and put in curly brace, base URL, and 2 closing curly braces. See how Postman highlights this in orange? That means it found a match in the active environment. Go up here on the far right, click on this toggle that says no environment, and choose production. The orange turns to blue, which means that our URL is now active. If you hover over, you can see what the URL is being passed in as. Let's go back to environments, and up here on the left, it says create new environment. Click that. Let's add another base URL variable, and this time our URL is going to be staging.fakestoreapi.com. Let's give this a name. We'll call it staging. Now we have 2 environments here. Let's do it one more time. This will be dev. It'll have a base URL, and the value will be dev.fakestoreapi.com. Go back to your collection and that login request, and now choose a different environment from the dropdown. Let's choose staging, hover over, and you can see that our environment automatically changed to staging.fakestoreapi.com. Let's do it once more with dev, and there you go. Now you have dev.fakestoreapi.com. We're going to want to replace the URL with this base URL in every single one of our requests. So if you're following along, take a minute to do that. The next thing I want to show you are variables. These are closely related to environments, but they go deeper. Postman gives you 4 variable scopes. Local, which is inside a script. It's only accessible from inside that script. Environment, which is the active environment. It's accessible from all requests in that environment. Collection, which is in collection settings. It's available to all requests in the collection. And global, which are in global settings, and those are available to every single collection. The hierarchy is local overrides environment, environment overrides collection, and collection overrides global. More specific always wins. Now let me show you how this works. In the login request, go to our body, choose raw, and make sure it's on JSON. I'm going to use this body that has a username and password, hit the send button, and your response should be a 201 with a token. What I want to do is capture this token so that I can use it on the other request. Let's click on the scripts tab, and with post response selected, I'm going to use this script, const token equals pmresponse.json.token and pm.environment.set access token, comma, token. Let's hit send again, and let's go back to environments. Click on production, and notice that we now have an access token variable automatically created, and the value is the value of our token that we passed in. We've now stored a token automatically from our request, and now let's use it. Go to Get All Products, click on Authorization tab, choose the type as bearer token, and the token field, let's type in curly brace, and select access token here. Hit send, you should get a 200 response, and it gives you information about the products. If you click on the terminal, click on console, we can look at the request that we just made. The bottom one here for /get products, in the request headers, you can see authorization, bearer, and there's a token already used. The request goes out with a token from login automatically. You didn't have to copy or paste anything. Next up, I want to show you pre-request scripts. These run before the request is sent, and they are where you set things up dynamically. 4 common use cases for this are 1. Generating a timestamp. Some APIs require a timestamp and the request signature or body. 2. Generating random test data. Instead of hard coding the same email address every run, you generate a fresh one. 3. Generating HMAC signatures. APIs that use sign requests require a hash built from the request payload. You can compute that in a pre-request script using the built-in Crypto.js library. And 4. Auto refresh tokens. If your access token expires, you can write a pre-request script that checks expiration time and automatically hits your auth endpoint to get a new one before the main request fires. The principle here is that pre-request scripts remove hard-coded data and static setup. You are introducing dynamic test inputs, the same kind of thinking you use to parameterize test automation frameworks. Let's walk through an example. Go to create a new product, jump to the scripts tab, make sure it's pre-request, and we'll add the script const random id equals math.floor math.random times 9000 plus 1000 pm.environment.set product title test product plus random id pm environment.set product price math.random times 100 plus 5 to fixed. This is going to generate a random title every time this request runs and also a random price. So we are not just submitting hard-coded data every time. Jump over to the body tab, make sure it's on raw and JSON, and this is our body. It's going to be a title with the variable of product title, a price with the variable of product price. We have a description, a category, and an image. Go ahead and click send. You should see a 201, and our title is test product 5613. Price is 46.5, and our other data here. Hit send again. You should see our title is different now with 7786, and our price changed to 94.19. Before the request was sent out, Postman ran the script and populated product title and product price with fresh values. The request body was built from those values at the moment of sending. The next feature I want to show you is test scripts. This is where Postman becomes automation. Test scripts run after the response is received. You write JavaScript. Postman runs it and reports pass or fail for each assertion. That result shows up in the test tab alongside the response. Let's choose the request get single product here. Click on the scripts tab, and then in the post response section, we're going to use this script. The tests are going to be in the format of pm.test. It's going to have a test title, a function, and an assertion. So our test is pm test. The title is status is 200. The assertion is pm.response to have status of 200. So we're expecting this request to respond with 200. The next test we have here is response time is under 800 milliseconds, and we're asserting that our response time is below 800. After that, we're saving our JSON response, and we're using that in our next few tests. So the next one is product has required fields. So we're checking our JSON to make sure it has an ID, title, price, and category. And the final test is price is a positive integer. Once again, we're checking our body for price and making sure it's a number first, and then making sure the price is above 0. And before we send this, we need to do one more thing. Go back to our params, and we need to give a value to our ID. So in the value, let's just choose 1, click on send. At the bottom here, there should be a test results section. You can see we have 4 tests. Status is 200, which passed. Response time is under 800 milliseconds, which passed. Product has required fields, and price is above positive number. Let's see what it looks like when our test fails though. I'm going to change the status code to be 201 and change the test title to be 201 also. Click send. That test now failed. It shows the test title and the reason for the failure. So it says expected response to have status code 201, but got 200. The next feature we're going to talk about is assertions. So I know we just covered test scripts and we saw a few assertions in the last section, but assertions deserve their own moment because the library behind them is important to understand. Postman uses the Chai assertion library. Chai has a readable, chainable syntax that reads almost like English. Here are some patterns you will use most often. Equality checks will look like this, using the to.equal syntax. Type checking will look like this. It'll be to be a string or to be a number. You can check for existence or emptiness, so to.exist or to not to be empty. You can do numeric comparisons like to be above 0 or to be at least 0. And you can see if things are included. So to.include error or to.include 42. For QA, assertions are how you encode expected behavior. Let's do another demo here. Let's go to Get All Products, go to the Scripts tab, make sure it's on Post Response, and we'll use this code here. So our first test is just checking for the status code of 200, saving our JSON body. Our next test is making sure that our response is an array, so it's going to be to be an array. Followed by that is array is not empty, so we're checking the JSON.length to be above 0. And the last test here is first product has required fields. So we're checking the array, looking at the first product, and making sure that required fields are there. So ID is a number, title is a string, price is a number, category is a string, image is a string. Go ahead and send this. You should see our test results should all pass. Next up, we're going to go over the collection runner. This is where manual testing becomes structured execution. Collection runner takes your entire collection, every folder, every request, every test script, and executes it in sequence. You click one button and Postman runs the whole suite. Before we do anything else, let's make sure that all of our data is set up in our request properly. Update product is going to need two things. It's going to need an ID. I'll choose number 2 here. And it's also going to need a body. So in raw JSON, use a simple body, and we're just going to change the description to updated dash. Our delete request is also going to need an ID. So I'll just choose 3 here. Now let's go up to our collection, click on the 3 dots here, and choose the run button here. You should see a list of every request, and notice that they're in order as they are in the left. So you can see post login is first, get all products, create new product, get a single product, update product, delete product, and so on. If you hover over, you can see that you can rearrange the test order here, and you can also unselect tests. So I'm going to unselect all the cart tests because I didn't finish setting those up. On the right, you can choose how you run the tests. So run manually, scheduled runs, automate via CLI. You can choose the number of iterations. So 1 is going to run it once, 2 is going to run it twice. You can add a delay if you want. This is where you would add test data, and they also have a performance tab that we'll not go over today. And that's pretty much it. So click on Run Fake Store API. After you run it, you can see our results are here. So it shows you how many passed, how many failed, the total duration, and the average response time. Here you can see the count of the iteration, the request that was made, the status, the time, and the size. This one doesn't have any tests, but you can see on the next one, Get All Products, we have our 4 tests displayed there. After that, it did a post for creating a new product. Then it did our request for getting a single product. Our test still has the error, so you can see the fail state there. We followed it up with updating a product and deleting the product. This is basically your smoke test. So anytime somebody pushes a change to the API, you can run this and know in 30 seconds whether anything is broken. The next feature I'm going to show is data-driven testing. This one unlocks a significant amount of test coverage with minimal effort. The idea is simple. Instead of writing a separate request for each test case, you write one request and feed it a file of test data. Each row in the file becomes one iteration of the test. I've gone ahead and created a CSV file. It has columns for username, password, and expected status. The first one is more_2314. It has a password, and the expected status is 200. Inside of our login request, we're going to go to our body, and we're going to change up the values passed into username and password. So instead of this hard-coded value here, I'm going to pass in username with a variable username and password with the variable password. Let's go to the scripts tab, and we're going to add these lines. Const expected equals parse inst pm.integratedData.get expected status, and a new test here, status matches expected for user plus pm.integratedData.get username. Inside of here, it's going to be pm response to have status of expected. The pm.integratedData.get call is how you read a column from the CSV row. The test name dynamically includes the username, so the report is readable. Let's click on the 3 dots on our collection, click run, and over here where it says test data file, select a file, select from computer, choose your file, click open, and make sure this is on CSV. You should see your data appear in a table like this. It was used locally, and let's run this. It looks like our requests are done, but notice a few things. First of all, iterations is 5, so there were 5 rows in the CSV, so it ran these tests 5 times. On the right, you can see there's now tabs, so iterations 1 through 5 are here, so you can quickly jump to them. If you click on 2, you'll go to iteration 2. If you click on 5, you'll go to iteration 5. Go back to 1, and if you click on the first post, you can see that our request is using this data, more and 835 for our password. Our status is 201, but our test was looking for a 200, so this is a failed test. If we click on iteration 2, we're still getting that failure for the 201 versus 200, but look at the data. Our data is John D and a different password. Let's go down to iteration 5, and if you'll notice that tests 3 through 5 all failed during the login step, so the remaining requests didn't actually run. So let's click on 3, and you can see that username and password are giving a 401. So basically, the bottom 3 iterations didn't complete because the authentication failed. The next feature I'm going to show you is mock servers. This one is particularly useful in sprint environments where different teams are working in parallel. A mock server simulates an API. You define what request you expect and what response it should return. Postman will generate a hosted URL. Anyone on your team can send requests to that URL and get the defined responses back without a real backend running. Let's walk through this. So click on the 3 dots for the collection, choose more, and select mock. We'll give this a name of fake store mock. The collection is our fake store API. Environment will leave to no environment, and we'll just click create. You can see down here that Postman generated a URL for us to use. Click on this copy button here and go to get single product. Click on the 3 dots menu here and click add example. Set the status code to 200 down here. In the response body, we'll use this value here. I'll save this, and we will replace the base URL with the URL that Postman gave us. Click try it. You should see a 2-run response with the response body. Let's go to environments. Let's create a new environment. We'll call this mock, add a base URL, add a value, go back to our collection, go to get single product, change the environment to mock. If you hover over, you should see our long URL there from Postman. Make sure the value is 1 and go ahead and send. You should see the mocked value received from Postman. So 200, the title should be mock laptop. Let's change this back to production, run it again, and this is what the real value should look like. It's a 200 with this body. The mock returned exactly what we defined, and it didn't require a real backend to do it. The last feature we're going to look at is monitors. A monitor runs a collection on a scheduled interval in the cloud. You pick up a collection, set a schedule every 5 minutes, every hour, every day, and Postman runs it automatically on Postman servers. No infrastructure, no cron jobs, no server you need to manage. To create a monitor, let's click on the 3 dots, choose more, and choose create monitor. I'll give the monitor a name of fake store health check, set the environment to production. You can configure your schedule, choose a region, and choose where notifications go. I'll click on create monitor, and this will take you to the dashboard. Go ahead and click on run since it hasn't run yet. From here, you can see the run history over time. Each bar on the timeline represents one scheduled run. Green means all tests passed, red means something failed. Down below, you can see which specific request failed. This is a simple production monitoring that you can set up in under 5 minutes using a collection you've already built. Let's wrap it up. I hope you understand now that these 10 features make Postman much more powerful than the way that you're probably using it today. The natural next step for you is to get Postman into a CI pipeline using Newman, which is Postman's command line runner, to execute your test collections in GitHub Actions or Jenkins on every pull request. If this was useful, drop a like and subscribe, leave a comment if you have questions, or if there is a specific feature you want to dive deep into, let me know. See you in the next one.